I'm back in Parque Morazon, and you know what that means. I'm going somewhere in this direction. So this is the round terminal Coca-Cola. We've been here many times before. Lucita Comunica made a video about it. I haven't seen the video yet, but that's going to be entertaining. And yeah, I'm just looking for a bus somewhere around here. Oh, I found what I was looking for. This is the bus terminal to Grecia. So passing by Parque Savana on the way out of town. So I just got off a bus in Grecia, in Greece, in the city of Greece. I'm not actually in the country of Greece, and as usual, I'm going to see what's going on. All right, to here we have a little park. I would call it a little plazita, and I'm just trying to see Parque Tractor Sin Violin. That's always the most confusing thing in Spanish, where I see something that is words in English. The park of the tractor without a violin. I don't know what that means. And here you can see, at least in part, we are surrounded by mountains. We're on a hill, but we're surrounded by higher mountains, or higher. There's a museum, and a cultural center. I might go there later. Haven't decided yet. First I'm going to check out the park. This is the central square. We have some form of sculpture here, actually many forms of sculpture. Then we have this church, which apparently I read is famous, and you can probably imagine why. And there's a lot of nice churches in Costa Rica, but this is one of my favorites. Maybe not quite as much as Coronado de Vasquez, but it's up there. I'm also going to sit down and eat, because this is a nice place. Well, I'm passing out of the plaza, and I guess I'm just going to walk around. It's about noon, and it only took me a little bit more than 60 minutes to get here. A little bit of a rough up and down at times, like a lot of places in Costa Rica, but it was a pretty easy ride and pretty easy to get back. So I'm just going to walk around until I want to go back. And as you can see, we've only really walked a couple of blocks, but you can see we're already entering a place where you can see nice green hills and a dentist center. Well, that's a surprise. So I've just kind of been walking around the perimeter of Grecia Central. And I saw on the map there's a road out of town here. I'll walk along this for a while. And the thing about roads like this in the US and in Costa Rica, a lot of times this might be a relaxing, beautiful country road, or it might turn into like a highway from hell with no sidewalks. At which point I would probably turn around, but let's find out. I crossed the street, and that side, of course, I don't want to walk on, but this one we have a sidewalk, so I'm going to walk for a while. Okay, well, we still have a sidewalk, but this is obviously not a restful country road. It might become that in a while, but don't really have a... That's not what I came to see, basically, so I'm going to turn around and go back towards the center of town. But it is a pretty nice day for a walk. You can see the sky is cloudy, but it's not raining. So, so far I'm having just a good time, just kind of strolling around. A little bit tired, so it's a nice place to be because it's not that hectic, even though there's some street noise. I turned to go around this street mostly because I can. I just want to show what more of a typical residential neighborhood is like. It's pretty nice. So I'm pretty much just walking around the perimeter of the central district. So last night I was doing what the equivalent of research for me, which was reading the Wikipedia article about Grecia, and it said, among other things, it's the cleanest city in Latin America, or that was its tagline. And I don't know if that's 100% true, but it is a really clean place, and seems pretty affluent. And this also seems like this is a public park, or like a public piece of land. So let's see if I can go and sit down and get some tranquility for a minute. I think I'm supposed to be here. No signs that I'm not. And that's why I like walking around, to find small pieces of magic. They're usually undercut with a bit of anxiety. Am I supposed to be here? I don't know. Well, this is a family recreation zone, and I'm not having any more scenes here, so I guess I am safe as I can be. And sometimes it's like it's the exception that proves the rule. The fact that they're posting regulations means that you're supposed to be here if you're doing family recreation and not amorous scenes. I'm not really doing either, but closer to the first than the second. And as far as I know, this is a coffee plant. Berries growing on a stem like that, that's coffee. And so that's life in Costa Rica. You just wander down some random path somewhere and there's coffee growing as a wild plant. That might actually have been cultivated, but it's not part of a farm. Maybe somebody just planted a coffee plant there. Anyway, I've been resting here for a second. I'm going to turn around and head back to town. Looks like here I will get some of those great views. Not quite a little country road, but a quiet suburban street. Weird comparison, but it does kind of remind me of Lake Oswego of all places. Wow. And maybe this isn't totally clear because it might look different than the United States, but this is an affluent area. I think both for local retirees and international retirees. Probably in that case, it's a lot like, Atenas, which is close to here. Maybe a little bit like San Ramon, but San Ramon is a little bit more local. Well, there might be a story there, but I don't know what it is. And I can hear water, but I don't think there's any access to the water. Might be a bridge across it. I guess I will find out in a second. So this is the Rio Agualate. And actually that is some really bright, clear flowing water. I actually really like that. There doesn't seem to be any type of sparkle coming off, which is cool, because all is too bad I can't get a better view of that. So there's some type of hipster microbrewery, and it's right across the street from the Justice Tribunal from court. So it's a great place to celebrate your acquittal. So I'm walking back towards the center of town. So technically, this Grecia is a canton, and here a district of Alajuela, and it's pretty close to Atenas and San Ramon. Kind of the same idea. Obviously, this is a lot bigger than Rossi or Cachi, where we went the previous 2 weeks, but not a city, but a pretty big town. I don't know exactly how you would describe it. There's another thing I really like about it here, and I was kind of trying to put my finger on it. This is a city that's big enough that has like a lot of diverse services, restaurants, that type of stuff, but not so big that it has a lot, basically garbage. Gosh, I'm in a bad mood today. Or maybe that's just in a part of town I haven't seen the low glow. So it's kind of big enough to have what you need, but not so big it's getting choked. Strangely enough, like I might compare that to Silverton. It could be I chose the wrong career. But this shows like there's a cultural center and there's a lot of programs, which shows both maybe some affluence and a focus on education. Turns out that was actually a library, so I went and looked around for a minute. Now I'm going to just do one more pass and then I'm going to look for the bus. So one thing occurred to me is this is kind of like an idealized version of what Latin America could be, because you do get like the streets are full of energy and you have this dense walkable core, lots of, well, you have pigeons, lots of independent shops and stuff like that, but look at that. That's actually, that thing about it being a clean city is not made up. This is a really clean city. So it's like kind of what Latin America could be. Don't ruin the ambience. Another factor of that about saying the city's not been overwhelmed. Even when chains exist, like your Cono, notice it has a small footprint, and it's a strange comparison, but it almost reminds me when the Hollywood district had a Target. You also have a Ready Pizza. Those are two technically true things. I actually like Ready Pizza. It's pretty good when it's what you have. But then you see that there is like a lot of these just like local small businesses. There's a lot of options right in the downtown, very walkable, and like I said, clean, the sidewalks are nice, just kind of a good vibe. So I'm definitely giving Grecia a, you know, it's up there. I mean, it's different than like, you know, Cachi or Rossi, which are really small towns, but for a city of this size, definitely, I don't know if I'd say my favorite, but it's up there. So I'm back walking by the church, and now I really am going to go back to the bus depot, even though it's only like 2:20 or so, so it's really only middle of the afternoon, but might as well go home before it starts raining. So here's the thing, obviously if somebody just comes to Costa Rica for a week or a weekend, you're not specifically going to come and see Grecia. But if you are here for a little bit longer, you know, and you're comfortable and you want to see a little bit more about like what everyday life is like, but in a good way, yeah, then, you know, if you're spending a couple weeks in San Jose, this would be one of the places I would put on my list to go. And the thing is, I think that outside of town, there might be more access to all that green and all that nature. Today I just did a little walk around town, but there's probably a lot more to see. But for now, I've got a good idea of what Grecia is like. So I'm walking home. The bus ride was way longer than it needed to be. I'm not a happy bunny right now. That is a problem. Getting anywhere interesting takes longer to get there than I can spend there. But maybe that's something I can work on in the future. And for now, I'm going home. It's a Friday night. It's what they call a cold front. I'm hungry.